The men's and women's finals at Wimbledon are set. Amanda Anisimova will take on Iga Swiatek tomorrow at 11 a.m. The winner will walk away with their first Wimbledon title of their careers. And Jannik Sinner will be taking on Carlos Alcaraz on Sunday for the men's title. In the NFL, the LA Chargers running back Najee Harris, his agent reports that the running back sustained a superficial eye injury from a fireworks mishap. However, he is expected to be fully ready for the upcoming NFL season. In baseball, the Blue Jays take on the Athletics with a 10 o'clock first pitch. The Cubs visit the Yankees for a 7:05 first pitch. And the Mets take on the Royals with first pitch set at 8:10. The Bisons are away tonight, taking on Scranton Wilkes-Barre with the first pitch at 6:35. And you can catch all of the action over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water, just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker, and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it. And
the Bulldog
put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need a spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Well, you better buckle up, Buttercup, because here comes 4 straight hours of mumble rapping. Okay, all right, okay. No, it wasn't weird at all that my kid was just in here doing a radio show. No, nothing. Move along. Nothing to see here. Just move along. I wasn't pacing outside, waiting so I could get in here, like waiting for him to get out of the bathroom so I could take a shower or anything. Just totally normal circumstances here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Completely average, run-of-the-mill, fine, to put it in the show's vernacular, day today. Just fine. I'm fine. Hey, Bulldog, I love your show. How you doing? Fine. I'm fine. Not freaked out at all.
I believe it.
Nobody believes me. No, it's all good. It's cool. You guys sounded great, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, you did. I don't know. Whatever. I can't. How am I supposed to assess him? I don't know. It's not my place to. I don't think.
No, you'll work yourself into a stupor.
I don't think I can really do that. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. All right. It's here. It's Friday, and let's have a day. I want to have a day. Let's have a day. Something happened. That was very special to me. My 60th birthday was last Tuesday, and Mike, unbeknownst to me, lined up a pantheon of guests from the past and the present, many of our favorites, and at the last moment, like the last segment of the show last Thursday, Danny Gare called in, and I don't know if I said this on the air or off, or even while we were talking to Danny. But, you know, I think I've said this many times. Some of you maybe know, maybe many of you don't. Danny was my favorite player, and still is. He's my all-time favorite Sabre. Like, you know, there don't have to be rules. Like, he could be replaced by someone else someday, but, you know, it's hard to get past the guy that you love when you're 10. Right? Like, yeah, you know, if you can remember and you can find his highlights, you can find him fighting Dave the Hammer Schultz and whomever else. I just loved Danny. And I said, again, I'm not sure if it was while Danny was with us or right after, but, you know, we're in the throw. It's July 1st, right? It's the day of free agency. Thank God Mike booked all these people so we didn't just sit in here and yell at each other about all the things the Sabres weren't doing, because we've done that for more than 20 years now on free agency day, and it's a very frustrating, maddening sort of day, sort of show to host. And Mike booking all of these people for us and for me, for my birthday, really buffered it. So we're talking to Danny, and at some point it goes off in my head, like, this is how they get you. This is why July 1st is still so frustrating, because I love the Sabres, and I love the Sabres in part because I love Danny Gare. Like, my first favorite guy on the team. And, there were obviously there's competition there. I wore number 4 and was kind of a big goony defenseman. So I like not that Jerry Cora was goony. He was a very skilled player, but a big tough guy. Most guys had to be tough to play in the league in those days. So I liked Corab a lot, and of course the French Connection and getting to know Richard Martin and Rene Robert to varying degrees. I never had a social situation with Gilbert. There's competition there. The big redhead Shoney, but Gare was my guy. Not that I was a little guy. I was a freakishly big kid. The first hockey picture that I have from playing mites out at Leisure Rinks for South Buffalo, I'm like, everybody else is barely up to my shoulders. I'm just a freak show, right? So I didn't identify with Danny because he was little, because I was little. But his toughness, how he played, the scoring prowess, 50-goal scorer, and just would not back down from anybody, right? So since last Tuesday when we had that conversation with Danny, and I either mentioned that on the air or thought it, knowing I was going to be working today alone, this day was booked. Mike took ill yesterday in the afternoon and missed yesterday too, but I knew that Friday, July 11th, I'm going to be in here alone, probably a beautiful summer day, which it is, and I thought, I would like to hear stories from you, the audience, about what lit the fuse for you. Right? Like, what got you in to the point where you are, well, hopefully somewhat of a loyal listener to this show and content like this, a big sports fan, right? Whether it's Bills or Sabres or outside the market, whatever, maybe you didn't grow up here, but like, who is the player, the person in sports? Could be team sports, can be individual sports, doesn't really matter. I certainly expect to hear a lot of Bills and Sabres and have gotten very much of that on my Twitter feed. I'm also reminded of what a Yankee stronghold this market has been. It's a lot different now because those games aren't just exclusively on here, but for a long time, when I was a kid, Yankees and Mets was the baseball that you got, and you didn't even get, certainly didn't get every game or anything, but you got plenty of them, and the Yankees have always had. So I got a lot of Don Mattingly's from people of a certain age, including one of our guests today, who we'll get to in a moment. So I would just love to hear the stories. If you can call us up at 803-0550 and share with us. I could fill the entire show with the Twitter responses so far, but that would be kind of boring because it's just me talking, and I can barely read because I'm wearing these glasses because I'm too vain to not wear them, and they're scratched up and blurry, but we're on TV, so I got to wear the glasses. So I can barely read my computer screen. A little inside baseball for you. You did not need to know all that. I'm exaggerating, but I would like to have this be a conversation, because Twitter does not really allow for it's limited how much you can explain your choice. Got a lot of GIFs, which is cool, but I like to hear whether it was some kind of an interaction. I already saw one person in the chat on YouTube here before the show even started, knowing what today's content was largely going to consist of, saying, I got a stick from Paul Sear back in the 80s, and I remember Randy Burridge teaching power skating classes or something at Holiday Twin Rinks years later. Then that maybe it was probably about 10 years later than that, when Burridge was around on the Sabres. And that's kind of what I want to get as much of as possible. I mean, I realize many of you probably did not, as a 10-year-old, have a chance to meet Don Mattingly. So, you don't have to have a meet and greet story. It's not a requirement. But like that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. Like, what do you have to say about why it happened that way? Couple of other things that I noticed on the Twitter feed when I posed this subject to you all, and thank you for the contributions. It makes me feel good at like noon or 1 o'clock when I put something like that out there and there's lots of feedback immediately. And conversely, doesn't feel so great if I do that and I get here at 3 o'clock and I look and there's like, crickets. Like, maybe today's subject matter isn't what the people want. But I feel like I'm prepared for this to go over pretty well, given the feedback I've already gotten. Max Afinogenov. For people like this is Sneaky Joe. Sneaky Joe, when he was our producer, now he's morning show co-host. I knew he was a big Max Afinogenov dog. I'm a Max Afinogenov fan. I said dog because I'm thinking about him naming his dog after Max Afinogenov. He and his wife Brianne have a dog, and its name is, I think, Finn, short for Afinogenov, if I'm not mistaken. And Joe was such a big, he's maybe about the age I am when I got turned on to Danny Gare when Max Afinogenov is on the Sabres. And I got a lot of that. And it's funny how, like, age skews it. Like, I looking back at it now, I certainly can I understand. I understood it while it was happening. Like, Afinogenov was a very popular player on the team. He was never my favorite because I always felt like for all the flash and dash that there was, he often was a player that didn't really know how to play with his teammates. Like, he was so gifted and he would do amazing things and scored many highlight reel goals doing his own thing, but like incorporating the other guys is a key element of playing good team hockey. And I never felt like Max, either guys didn't know how to play with him or he couldn't figure out how to fit in with other guys. I mean, it's not like the story of his career or anything, but for that reason, I always felt like he was a bit of an odd. It just didn't really always appeal to me. And when I'm off the team or think he was a huge problem necessarily, but the flash and the dash by the age I am when he's, hitting the beach here with the Sabres, I kind of was like, I don't know. It's a lot of noise that doesn't really amount to much to me anyway. So, but, for people who were 10 or 12 years old when they started watching the Sabres and Max Afinogenov was doing what he did, that goal in Tampa against the Lightning was still one of the most incredible goals I've ever seen in the NHL. A lot of people gravitated to him. So anyway, those are just a couple of observations off the top of things that stood out from social media today where I posed this question. We'll get right to calls here in a second. 803-0550 is the number if you want to get in here with the story. We do have the next, after 3:30, like about an hour booked in guest-wise. Sam Panayovich, our buddy from Bet Sweats, will join us for his weekly visit. That's at 3:30. And then at 4, our buddy Matt Parino from the Shout podcast. So a lot of Bills content coming up. And Parino's in this Mattingly camp I describe of, growing up around here, Yankee fans, and Mattingly is the dude for him, at least according to what he shared on social media. So that's the lay of the land for the show. Other than that, we got lots of time to kind of stretch out and hang out and talk about this subject, because I still have the St. Louis Blues roster open. Just saying, I don't know. I think after today I will close it. But I said that last week, and then I came back from the 4th of July, and I opened it back up, just in case. But, in lieu of a big Sabres Bowen Byram trade, let's talk about what got you into all this in the first place. Why you even care to turn on this show or any show like this on the station or anywhere else, whatever it is you pass the time with sports content-wise. There's something that lit the fuse probably for you when you were a kid, and I'm totally up for hearing those stories. 803-0550 is the number to get on board. Let's fire it up. Mike is first up this segment and this afternoon on WGR. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Bulldog, how are you?
Fantastic, man.
First off, I want to congratulate you on raising your son. He is doing a phenomenal job. He really is.
That's nice of you to say. I appreciate the compliment, Mike.
That's a fact. I mean, compliment is great, but here's what made me become a sports fan. I'm going to start with the players, and then I'm going to give you a story that I think everyone on that will hear it will really like.
Excellent. Good.
First off, it's O.J., Ahmad Rashad, Johnny Bench, Gilles Perreault, and Randy Smith. Those were the ones. Now, here's the story. When the Bills were playing in a Monday night football game against the Raiders in the 70s, it was a Monday night football game. I was at the game with my father's friend who owned a bar, and with one of his kids. The Bills were losing the game by, I believe, 13 points with a little over 2 minutes to go. We were sitting close to the end zone, but it was on like the 5-yard line, about 3 rows up. I looked at my dad, and I said, "Dad, let's go. It's over. We're going to lose." And this lady in front of me turned around, and she was a heavy-set lady. And she looked at me, and she goes, "Sonny," she goes, "the game isn't over until the fat lady sings." Now, listen.
Mike, let me just interrupt you. How old are you at this time?
14 maybe.
Okay. It's very curious to me that you wanted to leave. Like, because my experience as a kid, like, I never, and my dad was the same way. My dad didn't want to ever leave anything early that we went to.
I got to tell you, I want to finish this story.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this made my whole life change. Even to this day. She said, "The game isn't over till the fat lady sings." Well, anyways, we ended up beating the Raiders. We're the only team to beat John Madden on a Monday night football game. We ended up winning the game, and Ahmad Rashad became it was a come-out game for him. And now the lady turned around to me right at the end of the game and said, "The fat lady is singing." So for my whole life, I'm 63 now, Bulldog, and I played hockey against you in leisure rinks.
Mercy, when we were kids?
When we were kids, yes.
Wow, that's crazy. With that, we're 3 years apart. That's interesting that we would have ever crossed paths that way. But
well, we did because you took a slap shot from the blue line, and I got in front of it and stopped it.
How in the world do you remember that?
It ended up deflecting and hit me in the head.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I remember that.
Well, Mike, that's a great memory, and thank you for the story. I really do appreciate it. That game that's 1974 for folks who don't know it, and I happen to have. Well, I shouldn't give away why I happen to have like a paragraph on that game, but I'm helping with a project that you'll find out about in a few weeks, I think. But that game, 1974, it's week 1, Bills and Raiders. 7 straight seasons with no playoffs. This is a little paragraph that was prepared by the person I'm helping do this project. Buffalo reestablishes itself against John Madden's club on Monday Night Football. OJ is sidelined with injury. The lead changes 3 times in the final 2 minutes. Joe Ferguson hits Ahmad Rashad to take the lead with 1:56 to play, but Art Toms, it says, returns Jim Braxton's fumble for a touchdown, and then Rashad catches another touchdown with 26 seconds left to give the Bills the win. Also, footnote, George Blanda, the Raiders kicker, missed a 50-yard field goal as time expired. That's a part of that game that I had never ever heard. It's a Bills game from way back, that it predates the 90s and the glory years, that stands out to a lot of people. You got to be the Mike's age or my age to remember it. I barely remember this game. I don't remember watching it. It might not have even been on TV because of blackout rules, but I've never known that there was a 50-yard field goal attempt, which in 1974, a 50-yard field goal attempt might as well be an 80-yard field goal attempt, I feel like. I can't imagine the success rate in 1974 on field goals of 50 yards and above. I bet they didn't even get attempted that much. I bet if this weren't like the final play of the game, I bet they would not have even bothered to try it. Because it just did not happen that guys kicked it that far. But anyway, cool one, very cool game, and a really great memory. Appreciate it very much, Mike. Joe is up next here on WGR. Hi, Joe. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hi, Bulldog. How you doing?
Really well, thanks.
Good. In high school, the football coach always tried to get me to join the team and be a lineman, and I just had no desire to do it. So I watched him practice, and I couldn't deal with 2-a-days and then playing for 14 seconds every play. I skipped to after college when I'm road managing a band out of Rochester. For some reason, every Sunday, we ended up in this same bar. And they had football on. And it was when Steve Largent was going for the reception record for a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And it just stuck with me, and I just kept watching it, and then became a football fan. And now I'm a diehard Bills fan for the last 50 years or 40 years, whatever it is. And then 5 years ago, I think I landed on you and Mike. Well, I listened to Mike when he was in Rochester. And
all right.
Followed him to Buffalo. So that's my
awesome
deal.
That's and before this moment with Steve Largent, you were what, kind of casual about sports, weren't as into it, or what?
Yeah. You know, it was sort of a periphery thing. My father was a Yankees fan, so I kind of watched that. But in terms of football, it was like, who cared? But then Steve Largent, and it just grabbed me that this guy was going for a record, and I just had to keep watching to see what happened.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of fell in love with the game.
That's awesome. I love that it's someone outside of the region, right? Like Rochester, Buffalo, you would think about the Bills, or, the Giants or the Jets or something more regional, maybe. There was always the one kid in school that liked the Dolphins because, they were just going to try to be different. Or maybe they had an uncle that lived in Miami or something, whatever. We know you were just trying really hard to be that kid out there, if that was you. But Largent is just an excellent sort of, I don't want to say random, he's a great player. But just it's interesting that is what turned you into the football fan you are now. I like it, and thanks for listening. I'm glad you found Mike in Rochester all those years ago, and that you've continued to take us in. Bills wise for me, OJ is the obvious choice. That's the thing that got me, cutting out pictures from the Courier Express and like box scores and just different stuff. I still have a scrapbook. I should find it. For all the times I say I still have it. I'm not 100% where, like, I'm not sure I could walk in a room and put eyes on it. You know what I mean? But I know it's in the house. 98% sure it's in the house. There's a chance that Hurricane Mom at some point came through, but I don't think so. I don't think she would throw out a scrapbook on me. Anyway, not my mom, my wife, mom. Anyway, I think you followed along. It'd be weird if my mom was coming to my house and cleaning it, wouldn't it? But for me, like, as much as OJ was the maybe in the flashpoint, the star. I mean, 73 on 8 and 2,000 yards and all that. Bobby Chandler was more of the guy for me, even a little later than that. And I love how many people out there, at least on my Twitter feed, have the same recollection about Bobby Chandler and the sideline catches, and how if you grew up playing football on the street where there were curbs, you would you had to get feet in bounds. We didn't have review, but there were rules, and so the curb is out of bounds. So you'd like press your toes against the curb and turn and catch the ball and fall into the grass. That little patch of grass between the curb and the sidewalk was like the Chandler landing zone. And we would do that. Like, that was the most fun play a 10 or 12-year-old kid playing touch football in the street could possibly have in the 70s. I think. More for me than like running the I was never fast, right? So I'm not running past kids in my neighborhood. I often had a size advantage. So, the odd Keon Coleman jump ball, like maybe I could win that, but mostly like throw it way out here. I'm big. Throw it out of bounds. I can lean, and ideally what you do is catch it as you're falling, right? So your feet are at the curb, and you're kind of using the curb to like brace you, and you're falling. I hope the video feed is enjoying the theatrics I'm going through here. Catch the ball, sort of like how you would play catch on a boat or off a diving board on a pool. Like I'm in the air and I'm catching the ball, and now I'm falling and I'm catching it. This is so cool. That was the Bobby Chandler play. And it was so much fun to do that over and over and over again that I would have to say eventually Chandler, for me, became more impactful. I never could pretend I was OJ. All right, I was not fast. I was not elusive. I did not. It just didn't. Nothing. There's nothing there for me. But leaning my toes against the curb and falling on the grass, catching a football, awesome. And a lot of you had the same experience, according to my Twitter feed, which is awesome. All right, we got a timeout here, and thank you already for the input. We will fire this up again later on in the afternoon. But right now, we're gonna get input on this subject from our next two guests. First up is Sam Panayovich, co-host of Bet Sweats with our buddy Joe Ostrowski. He's coming up, and then Matt Parino at 4. So hang in there. Hope you're having a great Friday, launching into a fantastic weekend. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp is away today. This is WGR.
In the 90s, when the Bulls were on fire, this was like end of the season for us, end of the season for them. I get a call from Michael, meet me at Sunset Ridge early. We're going to go play 18 holes. We didn't have a game. We actually had a day off. So I meet him at Sunset Ridge. We played around, beat him for a couple thousand, and I'm getting ready to leave. Now, Bulls are playing that night. They play Cleveland. So I'm thinking he's leaving. It's 10 o'clock. He's like, no, let's go play again. So he goes and we fill up a bag full of ice and Coors Light. We walk again. we roll around another 18. I take him for another couple. And and now we've been drinking all afternoon. Now he's going from Sunset Ridge to the stadium to play a game. And I'm like messing around. I'm like, I'm gonna call my bookie, and all the money that you just lost to me, I'm putting on Cleveland tonight. He goes, I'll bet you that we win by 20 points and I have more than 40. I'm like, done. Son of a gun goes out, scores 52, and they win by 26 or something after 18 holes of golf. And
36 holes of golf.
36 holes of golf, and having like maybe 10 Bud Lights.
There's a story that pertains to our next guest on the West Her Hotline, co-host of Bet Sweats with our buddy Joe Ostrowski. It's Sam Panayovich, his weekly visit with us, brought to you by Sam, who's willing to continue to join us all summer long, which we admire. That is Jeremy Roenick talking about playing golf with Michael Jordan, who I guess, Sam, you were just the right age for Michael Jordan, right? I guess I like basketball. Good job, by the way. Good job being born and being in Chicago.
I'd like to thank my parents first and foremost for that. They decided in 1989 that they were going to have a boy. By the time I was 4, he had 3 rings. By the time I was 9, he had 6. That's the easiest question I could answer for you. Who was your guy? It was him. I grew up with that psycho.
Yeah, and you must have heard lots of stories like the one that Roenick just shared that you encouraged Zach to play for your visit, I imagine, right? Because Jordan's away from the field activities were often speculated about.
Oh, man, the things I could tell you, the things I can't tell you. I'll give you one quick story that I'm close to. I wasn't there, but I've had this confirmed. I had a buddy years ago. He was probably like 22 or 23. He's a poker player, and he was very good. And he tells it this way: you don't leave Michael's game until Michael is either out of money or he takes you out of money. So this kid goes up there with about 20,000, and he's got maybe 40, 45, 50,000, and Michael just keeps going back and getting more money and getting more money and getting more money. And eventually the kid had a rough stretch, lost a few hands, lost a big hand, left there with nothing. Michael would not stop. Like, his competition was so strong, he wouldn't stop until he either won or had nothing left. And that's a story that probably a lot of people around Chicago could tell.
Right, but what nobody knows is that man later went on to become president of the United States. No, I'm sorry, I'm kidding. That's not confirmed at all. That's not a part of the story. Pretty good score to beat Jordan. You know, I'm over here with Danny Gare. His number hangs in the rafters. You know, that's all I got. I don't have trophies. I don't have rings, but pretty good. How was the 4th?
It was solid. My brother threw a party. I was actually back in Chicago. It was a younger crowd, though. When I say younger crowd, think 25 to 30 playing a lot of beer games. Ugh. They play beer games for 5 hours, and that's not my thing. No. I'd rather do shots and do other things, but It was fine. The food was good, family and friends. I mean, I'm usually in Boston, so I'm not near my family, so it was good. I know you had a great day because I texted you about 8 o'clock, got nothing back.
Sam, my birthday was Tuesday. I was working the whole week. You know, obviously we had Friday off. So I laid very low. My wife's schedule was kind of messed up too. So my birthday kind of came and went without much fanfare. And, not to mention, by the way, I turned 60, so it's not exactly like, oh, let's hit the strip or anything. But nonetheless, I was sort of saving it up and played golf Friday morning, the 4th. And my favorite bar that I go to every Saturday after I play golf was open, at noon on the 4th, but no kitchen, just drinks. And they said, like, on social media, feel free to bring food if you want. I literally made a sandwich and wrapped it up and walked into the bar with a sandwich. I'm like, how bad do you want it? I need to be here right now. My birthday was Tuesday. I've not really had any beers yet. And that was not good planning because I went a little hard in the early part of the day. And, yeah, by later on, it's a good thing I didn't lose my phone. We were out in the country and we had a great day, but I did not make it much past the bonfire being lit for me.
Oh, dude, the older we get, the harder it gets. And I'm excited, but also terrified because I just booked my flight. I have to go to Vegas. I go every August to get bets in, and we join contests. And there's like a huge crew of people that go. There's also an event, so it's like a sports betting time for me to go, and I'm dreading it. I land on the 12th, and I'm there until the 17th. That used to excite me, but now I'm terrified. That's 5 nights in Vegas, and I'm not ready for it.
Right. Well, start training. You've got more than a month to get ready. Just barely more than a month. 12th through the 17th. You said, yeah, that's right. We talked last week about how me and the big kid are going to be in Boston on the 16th, so we're going to miss you, which is too bad. Sam Panayovich, co-host of Bet Sweats, 9 to noon on the Bet 1520, also on the Odyssey app and streaming and Twitter and everywhere else. Right? I mean, you can watch your stuff everywhere. Right? So you were texting me about the Heisman earlier today, and the odds on that. Is that one of the things that's on the list for Vegas? Or no, you can do that where you are. I can't. And what stood out to you? What I noticed right away was, am I missing something? Arch Manning is not considered someone who could win the Heisman this year?
No, I sent you. That's my bad. I sent you a slip of. I wanted to talk about a certain player. Arch is the favorite right now.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, these were people further down the list. Okay, I understand. Okay, good, gotcha. Wow.
Which is a good talking point though, because the Heisman favorite hasn't won it in, I think, 10 years going into the season. It rarely happens. I mean, we've seen guys like Spencer Rattler be the Heisman favorite. DJ Uiagalelei, who was horrible at Clemson, he got benched and then he transferred. Like, it's not been a good list. You don't want to be the preseason favorite.
I'm such an idiot. Of course, this list starts that you sent me with Jeremiah Smith at plus 1,300. Of course, someone's got better odds than that to win the Heisman. I'm such a moron. Anyway, okay. So
no, but I didn't put you in a good spot there. That's fine. Arch is the favorite, and that. It's mostly on name, not on production. I mean, we don't really know what he is. And when we saw him last year, he was playing against bad teams. Your concern there, if you bet anybody that isn't Arch, is that they go into Ohio State week 1, he throws 3 touchdowns, and then he just runs away with it. I mean, that's certainly possible. Mm-hmm. But if they go into Ohio State and lose by 2 touchdowns, which is very possible.
Open the floodgates for everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, then it's, what are they going to say, Bulldog? He's not his uncle's. You can't cut it in the big games, and then they're going to write him off, and then that's when I would bet him. I would like Arch at about. I think his true price is probably like 12 to 1, but because he's Arch Manning, it's 6 to 1. So I don't like to bet the favorites to begin with, let alone this favorite that everybody likes. But let me talk to you about Carson Beck. I just bet this about an hour ago. There's an 18 to 1 on him. There's a 20, a 22, a 25. FanDuel has a 37. I bet 37.
Shop around.
He's going to be the starting quarterback at Miami. They just made Cam Ward the number 1 pick in the draft. He put up banana numbers, and they bring back 2 offensive linemen. They bring back a lot of that offensive coaching staff. They have some question marks at receiver, but they have speed and skill from Florida. I mean, that's known to do well over the years. Mm-hmm. They recruit well. Mario always has players, the head coach. And he was the Heisman runner-up last year in terms of guys to bet in August. It was Ewers was favored, and then it was Carson Beck. So you're telling me that Carson Beck, who was 8 to 1 last year, is now as high as 37 to 1 this year? That doesn't make sense to me, man.
That is messed up, and that's just going from Georgia to Florida or Miami? Excuse me.
I guess.
Wow.
No, he didn't play well last year at Georgia, and maybe there were some reasons for that on both sides. I mean, player or program. But Georgia, when you think of Georgia, do you think of NFL pocket passer? No. You think of win the lines, O-line, D-line, run the ball. It's very tough to score on. Miami plays fun and gun. Miami, the quarterback catches the ball, he turns and he throws it. Go look at how many times Cam Ward threw the ball last year. Now you put a pocket passer in a pocket passing offense. His numbers are going to be better, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, but you make a point about Georgia. Other than Matthew Stafford, I mean, where are we? I mean, it's possible there's a very obvious guy that should spring to mind, but the next guy I'm thinking of is Jake Fromm. Like, I don't think there's not much. There's not much in the history there. What else in college football? Like, you know, is there value to be had already on looking ahead, like conference championship or the playoff or any of that sort of stuff? Is there something you like out there, or is it too early?
No, I like Clemson a lot, and we've been doing a lot of college content because, believe it or not, as much as I love baseball, I can't talk about betting baseball for 3 hours a day. I'd go insane. So we've been sprinkling in a little bit of college football and NFL because you have to have a well-balanced plate. I don't need to tell you that. So Clemson, to me, is the most talented it's been since Trevor Lawrence was there. So we're going back, 5 or 6 years now. They stopped, believing in guys that didn't start at Clemson. Dabo was really weird for a while. He was like, if you don't start at Clemson, you don't deserve to finish here. And you're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. In the ever-changing NIL culture where players are leaving all the time, he didn't want anybody else's players. And he's like, if you start at Clemson, you finish. Yeah, whatever. He realized that was not good. So now he's starting to hit the portal. And there was a time when they had T. Higgins and DeAndre Hopkins at receiver at Clemson. I'm hearing that the receiver room is close to that, and that's been an issue for them. You have a quarterback in Kate Klubnik. He's the second Heisman favorite. The schedule's easy. The defense always has 5 NFL players on it. Clemson's loaded talent-wise. And if the quarterback is as good as some people believe, that's a team that could go 11-1. I don't want to say 12-0 because that's hyperbole, but I think they could be a 10-11 win team, and I love them to win the ACC.
Yeah. Speaking of talking about betting baseball, I gotta share this story with you that happened live on the air on Monday. Mike and I were running through our FanDuel apps, putting together the 8 division winners into a parlay. I've done this every year since it's been legal to do it in New York State. And, of course I haven't won, but it's fun to which long shots do I want? Like, this is going to be chalk. Of course, not all the favorites are going to win probably. And putting that together, and we're doing that. And in the process of it, I thought, I want to save this one because I like the way it got put together. I like the choices. And I realized I wasn't logged in, and it wouldn't let me save it. So I logged in, and when I logged in, I saw that there was $1,500 in my account that was not there the last time I remember looking at my app. And what happened is this sort of plays into Friday evening and into Saturday and Sunday. Like we went out to lunch on Sunday and had a couple drinks, and I'm settling in for an afternoon nap. Right? The time of the bet stamp is 2:38 p.m. So baseball games are already underway. I put in a 5-leg parlay that I completely forgot about until on the show Monday at 5 o'clock. And I logged into the app like, that hit? Are you kidding? I bet the Angels plus 1.5 mid-game? That's not even me. Did somebody break into my I won a bet that I don't remember making at all. And it's not because I'm in there like crazy at this time of the year, right? It's so routine that I would forget about it. It's that I'm not betting often at this time of the year, that so when I do it, I can easily forget that I did it, and that was the case. So what a pleasant surprise that was to log in and see I won a huge parlay. Awesome.
That's what we used to call the peekaboo. You just find it. You didn't know it was there. And you're like, okay. Oh, let me see. I'm either going to buy a new set of golf clubs or I'm going to make more bets now because that's how it works. All right, so with the divisional stuff, I'm not going to give you 8 winners because
no, of course not.
Right, but
no.
I could tell you where I would start. In the AFC West, it's Kansas City. It has to be. I mean, Mahomes has maybe the best staff around him offensively that he's ever had as a player. He's got Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Hunt, and Pacheco, and Andy Reid, and by the way, a defense that's probably the best it's been in Kansas City.
All right.
The fact that that's minus 120, I don't know what I'm missing, Bulldog.
Yeah.
I like that straight. let alone in a parlay. Like, that's a very good bet.
Just so you know, I will be following.
Best team.
Sorry, I want to let you know. I'll follow along here, and like we'll keep track of what it's going to be worth at the end because I got the app open. So Kansas City, like it's minus 115 at FanDuel, by the way. Just so you know, the odds are a little different than what you're looking at. So Chiefs, yeah,
I'm building one of the different places.
Yep.
Chiefs, all right. So let's go Chiefs minus 120. In the North, I'm going to go Minnesota. I think they have the best roster, plus 350. If the quarterback is going to play well, McCarthy, I'll take my chances. I'm not betting Detroit or Green Bay. That division's wide open, so I like Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
In the West, let's go Niners, plus 150. Schedule is so easy. So easy.
They got to be, I know you and Joe were talking about worst to first. They got to be an easy bet for a worst to first team this year because they finished last in that division last year, and that was just a weird year for them, right?
Yeah, and they're favored to win the division, so the books know. I'm doing Buffalo, minus 280. That's a winner.
All right. I'm on that too.
The East. I mean, you should go Philly.
I gotta go.
Let's explode this. Let's go Dallas.
Yes, that is. I'm gonna do that for real. I think. Like when I get, we'll see. I might end up liking this one enough that I'll actually do it right now because I'm flush. If you didn't hear, but I love Dallas at that number. I don't think they're the best team in that division, but I just see a year where it just goes right. We talked about this already 10 times, I think, this year. So Dallas, all right. How about what do we got left here? How about the NFC South?
NFC South, yeah, I got 3 more. I got 5 in right now. It's already 180 to 1. In the South, I'll go Atlanta.
Same. I love that.
Penix. I'm a big Penix guy.
Me too. Let's
go. I mean, Baltimore. I don't like Baltimore big picture, but they're good enough to win the division.
Right.
Like their defense is so good. So that leaves the AFC South. We're already, by the way, if you're keeping track at home, we're at plus 103,000. Houston. I mean, I could go Jacksonville, but let's go Houston. All right, so that's 8 picks. Kansas City, Minnesota, San Francisco, Buffalo, Dallas, Atlanta, Baltimore, Houston, plus 221,565.
What did I do? Did I miss something here? I'm trying to figure. You Atlanta, San Francisco, Minnesota, Dallas, KC, Houston, Baltimore, Buffalo. I've got plus 43,186 over here. So these numbers are not matching up, but still, that's all right. I think I might play the feud with that, Sam. I think I like it. Dallas is probably the riskiest one of those. You're helping talk me out of Jacksonville instead of Houston. I was sort of down on Houston last year as a team that was being sort of placed in the upper echelon of the conference, and it turned out I was right about that. But maybe another year older, maybe they can figure things out, and the division is so weak that even a 10-win Houston team could win that division, I suppose. It really depends on what you think of Jacksonville, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're giving the keys to Liam Cohen. Now, if you don't know much about Liam Cohen, he's in the McVay tree, who, of course, was under the Shanahan tree. So it's like 4 guys right now that are actually 5 if you add Matt LaFleur. You got Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, LaFleur in Green Bay, O'Connell in Minnesota, Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, and then there's one more that's not coming to mind right now. But they're all like these like high-octane offensive minds, and Liam Cohen is ideally the next piece of lineage in that Shanahan-McVay tree, and he's an offensive dude. I mean, look what he did with Baker Mayfield last year. Baker threw for 4,500 yards in Tampa, and Evans and Godwin were both hurt. So he's definitely gotten production out of a lot of guys over the years.
Yeah. Whatever I'm saying my odds are, my app is acting really weird because just now while you were talking, I toggled between Houston and Jacksonville in that parlay, and the difference in the odds is 190, and it didn't change the odds at all. So my app is acting very, very finicky. I'm not sure I want to trust it right now. Are you at all interested? Did you talk at all this week about this celebrity golf thing? Are you someone that wades into that, or do you just basically ignore it?
No, I draw the line in hot dogs, buddy.
That, by the way, I just missed the telecast when I went out with my sandwich wrapped in aluminum foil to my favorite bar on Friday at 12:30 in the afternoon, or it was later than that. So I missed the hot dog concept. They had it on, and I'm like, did the guy, the runner-up cover 17 and a half? Did he like, no, he lost by 24. I'm like, damn, poor Sam.
Everybody underachieved except for Chestnut, like the whole day. In fact, everybody on the women's side and men's side that had an over-under, every under hit. So if anybody was scalping unders, they were cleaning up. And there were some people that were parlaying all the unders on the men, like every number under. Chestnut was 71.5. He only ate 70.5, so he went under. But he he destroyed the field. He won handily. He ate 70.5 hot dogs in 10 minutes. You know how disgusting that is?
Yeah. I've never watched it, but I can assume it's repulsive. Yeah. Like, no question. I eat 3 hot dogs and feel like, what did I just do to my body?
It's so bad, and then you have to keep it down for 15 minutes too. That's the rule. So you have to eat it really fast. I never
knew that. You can't just go vomit
and then hold it. Yep, you got 15 to hold it, and if you don't hold it, you're disqualified.
Does holding? I don't want to ask a follow up. I think we should just stop here. Right? Yes, better judgment. Sam, thanks for always being such a beast and joining us on these beautiful summer Friday afternoons. We appreciate it very much, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
You got it, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is our dude, Sam Panayovich, co-host of Bet Sweats from 9 to noon on the Odyssey app and the Bet 1520 if you're bumping around in your car and want to tune it in and check it out. They do a great job. Joe Ostrowski will be, I assume, back with us in football season, and Sam has been here year-round, which, again, as I just said to him, we appreciate. All right, timeout at hand. We will hit up Matt Parino, co-host of the Shout podcast, long time on the Bills beat now, and we'll get back into some football. And also take our question about the fuse being lit on sports to Matt as well as we continue. And then lots of your calls, hopefully, on the other side of that as we continue through a beautiful summer Friday. Mike Schopp is off today along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
finals are set for both the men and women's singles. On the women's side of things, Amanda Anisimova will take on Iga Swiatek tomorrow at 11 a.m. The winner will walk away with their first Wimbledon titles of their careers. And for the men, it is Jannik Sinner against Carlos Alcaraz. That match will be on Sunday, also expected to go off at 11 a.m. In the NFL, Bears locking up general manager Ryan Poles a 5-year contract extension. Poles, though, did have 2 more years left on his current deal, but now is tied to the Bears until at least 2029. Former Sabre Jeff Skinner is heading to San Jose. It's a 1-year, $3 million deal. And then some baseball action today. Blue Jays, they are out late tonight out west as they take on the Athletics. First pitch at 10 o'clock. And then before that, we've got the Cubs visiting the Yankees, 7:05. The Mets take on the Royals at 8. And then the Bisons, they are still on the road in Scranton. First pitch tonight, 6:35. And all of your action can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Here's what's going to happen. I am going to have to fix you, manage you to on a more personal scale, a more micro form of management. What is that called?
Microgymming.
Boom. Yes.
It's Mike Schopp
What is your name, sir? I am Bill Buttlicker.
and the Bulldog.
Really, that's your real name? How dare you? My family built this country, by the way.
It's Mike Schopp
The 3 words I would describe you as is aggressive, hostile, and definitely difficult.
and the Bulldog
Well, I like the sound of your voice.
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
All right, rocking our way through a Friday afternoon here in the summertime. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp is away today. Zach Jones alongside. G running the video feed as always. And joining us right now on the West Her hotline is long time. I'm going to go with long time. Man, I'm sorry if that makes you feel old. I turned 60 last week, so I'm going to call you long time Bills beat reporter for Syracuse.com and co-host of the Shout podcast. How's things, Matt? How's summer? How's baseball?
Things are great, and I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I'm going into, I think this is year 8 on the beat, right? So a long time, especially with some of the turnover in that time. I've had a lot of different colleagues on a beat that doesn't turn over very much, which is interesting enough. Good. I mean, the summer is beautiful. We're getting some 90-degree weather this weekend. Baseball tournaments galore. So it's one of my favorite times of year. And we're, oh, by the way, look up in less than 2 weeks in training camp. So.
Does that all get wrapped up for you before you have to be at St. John Fisher every day, or is it time where you start missing stuff?
I'll probably have to miss 1 or 2 games that last weekend of July, and then we don't do one. A lot of teams are starting to kind of push it into August a little bit. We don't. Eventually, we might, and that's just part of the gig, right? Like
right.
You're gonna miss some stuff, but I get so much of it all summer long that. I don't even feel bad about it.
There was one year when we were never playing like where we were traveling around and everything, but just at Hurdle North Park youth baseball there at Shoshone, and we got pushed into like almost Labor Day weekend one year. I was just like, what are we even doing here, people? And it was weather related, but it's still like, yeah, we could just cancel it. Whatever. It was $40. I don't need to be playing youth baseball games, in September. What are we doing? Insanity.
You say that because Sal's obviously over at North Buffalo, and we compare notes all the time. And our house league wraps up, the playoffs are done the last week of June. And he was telling me last year, like the middle of August, they were just playing their championship games. I'm like, dude, if I still had house going on top of all this travel stuff, it's too much.
Yeah. Matt Parino, our guest here, co-host of the Shout podcast, Bills Beat for Syracuse.com. Before we get to the football team, who, we're closing in on it, right? Just a couple of weeks away, they'll be on the field here, less than that, actually, right? It was 2 weeks from Wednesday, I think. Have I got the dates right, or am I? No, that's right. Okay.
We're about 11 days now.
You did contribute to the substantial amount of replies to my question about who lit the fuse for you in sports. And so you're one of these kids that grew up around here and your family loved the Yankees, or did you find yourself to them on your own?
I was born into the Yankees fandom, for sure. My grandfather, my uncle, my dad, And that era, I mean, I was born in '82, so by the time I could really understand what was going on, I mean, I just would do anything for a Don Mattingly baseball card. I mean, that was the guy in that era, and that was and then obviously that gave way to like Jeter and Bernie Williams and Paul O'Neill and all that, Mariano Rivera. So I lived like the golden age of Yankees baseball there for a few years. But Mattingly was just the first guy I remember as like, on my favorite team, the guy. Obviously, it was weird because growing up around here, my family was big-time Bills fans as well. But my earliest memories are of the Yankees. My earliest memory of the Bills was probably when Don Beebe fell on his head against Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the big moment where kind of things took off. And Thurman Thomas was always my favorite Bills player. So like that, he was probably in that category as well. But we were really a baseball family, like in my early days, especially because I played baseball, I didn't play football. And so Mattingly was it for me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, speaking of Thurman Thomas, how about the Bills' current situation at running back, Matt? How do you think? What do you think is most likely? A contract extension and everybody is happy and holding hands, or do you think that they push it and he plays out the year? Because I think either way he's going to be here. It's just a question of whether or not they'll keep him beyond this season, which of course they could still do after next year. But do you think they get a contract done with him, or do you think that they will let it play out?
So I'll first say I think the most likely way that a contract gets done is that it happens in the off season next year. Like, I don't think it's going to necessarily get done before this season starts, only because I think that they're so far apart on what both sides want, and nothing has changed since January when James Cook made his demands known, and they got all these other contracts done, and this one kind of continues to linger out there. And we heard from James a couple weeks ago that like he's planning to go to training camp. There's not a lot of leverage, because really, if you look at all the position groups, right, like wide receiver, edge rusher, quarterback, cornerback, even, a lot of these guys get one big contract extension and then usually another big one into their either late 20s or early 30s, whereas running backs, a lot of them have to really cash in on that big first contract. They're probably not going to get a big second one. Like a lot of them that we've seen, I don't have specific examples, but like you sign that 3 or 4 year big money extension, whatever it is. I mean, Josh Jacobs is a good recent example. And then the next deal is either like a 2-year deal, like Derrick Henry's been signing a lot of these kind of deals, where he's been drastically under what the market's been. I mean, even Saquon Barkley set the market. I mean, Henry comes in quite a bit under that, even despite what he's consistently been able to do. So I think Cook is dug in because he wants to get his money, because you might only get one big bite of the apple like his brother Dalvin did. And I think he's probably driving the bus a little bit here too. And I think for the Bills, like there's value in going into a Super Bowl contending year with one of your most important weapons in a contract year. There's value in that, because on the other end of it, even if he goes somewhere else and signs, you're probably going to get a comp pick back, and maybe you were never going to meet the number that he ultimately will get. Or they, like I said in the scenario at the beginning, they get to the offseason next year, and it's a Matt Milano type situation. Everybody was saying he was as good as gone.
Yeah.
No way the Bills were going to be able to get him back for less than $16, $17 million per season. He signs with the Bills for $12 million. Whether or not that had anything to do with his market or just that he wanted to stay in Buffalo, that's another thing. What if James Cook gets to it, and it's a $2 or $3 million difference per season, but then he could stay in Buffalo and still play with Josh Allen in this offense, and maybe at that point he's more comfortable with it. But I don't see anything happening over the next couple of weeks. I'm never saying never, right? Because we've seen that happen before a season starts. But my anticipation is he shows up, it becomes less of a storyline. Like once the Hard Knocks episode comes out, the first one, and you kind of see behind the curtains and his interactions with all the players and the coaches, and then we kind of, business as normal the rest of the summer.
How much of a risk, if at all, Matt, do you think the Bills are running? Because I agree, I don't think I'm not optimistic about next year either myself right now. But I mean, who knows? It's a year away. Anything could happen still. But I don't think anything's happening now. And do you think the Bills are risking anything by leaving him going into the final year of his deal, like with his teammates, with him himself, like you're around the team? It's a tough question because the Bills have had such a smooth trip here, really. There's been very little. There was the Poyer thing a couple years ago, but even that sort of went away before it even got really fiery. Do you think there's any risk for the team in handling Cook the way they have?
I don't think so, only because of how consistent they've been with rewarding guys, and their MO is very clear. Like, if they want guys that are going to be around, and if they think they can get value elsewhere or more money elsewhere, the Bills are okay with that. I mean, look at Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, Poyer's a great example of, hey, we love you, we want you part of this situation, but if you think you can get more money, then we're able to pay. That's the thing, too. Not enough of this is positioned around the Bills' financial situation, which is you can only spend so much money at premium positions, and look at all the big premium positions. Cornerback 1, big contract extension. Both tackles, big contract extension. Top defensive edge rusher, contract extension. And oh, by the way, they spent in free agency on their defensive line. Quarterback's making the most money in the league now, guaranteed money. The salary cap is, it's a movable line, but when you're paying that much, you have to make some hard decisions in position groups where maybe you can't go out and get the next James Cook in the draft next year, especially in year one. I mean, James Cook, it took him a while to really become what he's been, but it's the position where I think you can get the most production from a rookie player. Not only that, they drafted Ray Davis last year in anticipation of this situation. They're much higher on Davis in the building than I think even the most bullish Bills fans are. Like, if they woke up tomorrow morning and James Cook, for whatever reason, decided he wasn't going to play football anymore, I think the Bills would be confident in a Ray Davis, Ty Johnson backfield. Would it be as explosive? Would they have one of their top weapons? No, they'd probably have to reimagine things a little bit, get creative with who they would add. But I think they like Ray Davis, and I actually want to see a little bit more Ray Davis, even with Cook on the roster. I think some of those red zone carries, I think getting him more involved, Davis in the passing game, is something that I'm looking for the Bills to really implement this year.
I think it would make sense for them to be motivated to do that because of, barring, again, a contract extension for Cook this summer, which both of us agree, I don't think it's very likely. Obviously, it could happen, never say never, like you said a minute ago, but I think you might want to, just, try out the Davis thing a little bit more and see if you're, because that'll help decide what you're going to do to replace Cook if it comes to it that he is leaving the team. Do I have to put a big asset on that in the draft? Do I have to sign someone in free agency to supplement my backfield? Or are we comfortable going in with, say, Ray Davis sort of taking over the 45% snap share that James Cook has had?
Yeah, and I think, they don't like to put too much on rookies in year one as it is. And when you have an established starter like James Cook, I'm not surprised that we went through big stretches of the season last year and Davis wasn't as involved as maybe you might have wanted to have him because of anticipating this situation. Brandon's really good about pivoting out of these kinds of situations. I mean, Stephon Diggs is the most recent example. But in that, you have to, if you don't have that skill set in the building, you got to find a way to get it and get it fast. I think Ray Davis, he's not as elusive necessarily as James Cook. I mean, James Cook has a rare ability in space to make guys miss. But what Davis doesn't have in that department, I think he more than makes up for in his urgency with the ball in his hands. That to me is one of the things I saw from James Cook last year take even another step forward, was just his urgency as a runner. I go back to Marshawn Lynch early in his career with the Bills. I always was frustrated as a fan at that point watching him run because when he decided to be urgent, he was just so hard to deal with. We saw him almost really evolve into that with the Seahawks. I mean, that big run, that highlight run,
right.
That really came because of how quickly he got on the defense and put pressure on them. And I saw a little bit of a jump in that department from Cook last year. I think Davis has that in his game naturally. That's just how he operates. There's just I don't want to say a panic, but there's an immediate determination to get at a defense at all three levels, and I think that they like that about him. And Ty Johnson is that perfect complementary piece to all of it. I think that's what made this offense so good. I mean, the more you look at this thing, 30,000-foot view, and we all have our conversations about the wide receivers and maybe like not the talent level of some of these other teams across the league without a bona fide number one. Well, when you have a deep running back room that's also heavily involved in the passing game, that's where I think this offense really stands out.
Matt Parino, Syracuse.com on the Bills beat, also co-host of the Outstanding Shout podcast on the West Her Hotline with us for a few more minutes here on WGR. You mentioned the receiver room, Matt, so let's shift over there. Coleman, I want to include Kincaid in this conversation, of course, even though he's a tight end. As far as pass catchers go, I think we can bank on Shakir. I don't know. Maybe you think there's more growth there. We'll see. I don't know that I'd want to bet on it, but it certainly could happen. But I like him even as is. Like if all I get from him is what I got last year, it really then depends on what kind of growth I get from guys like Kincaid and Coleman and free agent signing Palmer. But on Kincaid or Coleman, like if you had to pick one of them to sort of break out this coming season, which one would you land on?
So I think I'm probably the most bullish on Keon Coleman among local media members based on my conversations with folks. With that said, though, I think this is going to be the Dalton Kincaid season because I think there's way too much stock piled in that building in Kincaid from Brandon Beane, McDermott to a degree, but Josh Allen more than anybody. Like, if you go back to the beginning of the offseason, like when we started talking about that Kansas City game and everything that happened with Dalton, and Josh Allen quickly kind of piped up like, listen, the guy played injured all year. I have to be better for him, almost putting his struggles in year two on himself. And I think there's some merit to that. I mean, if you go back and watch a lot of the games last season, in some of the big moments, it never felt like those two guys were on the same page.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time talking to Dalton Kincaid with availability this last couple months. And the big thing for me is how serious he's taking it and how much he's determined to make that connection really work with Josh Allen. They've gotten together a couple times this offseason. I think they were scheduled for another session in this gap between minicamp and training camp. And that, to me, Joe Brady, when he took over, right, he had that full offseason where we all talked about, well, he got thrown into the mix his first season, and this is going to be the time where he can sit back and really come up with a plan. The problem with that idea at the time was he had to come up with a plan for the offense with a complete new identity without Stephon Diggs, right? He had a lot of mouths to feed, and I think in that way is why Everybody Eats was born. They had to figure out who they were and what they were going to be. Now Joe Brady really has the reins of this thing, and he knows Dalton Kincaid inside the building needs to be a guy. If not the guy, one of the top guys. And I think that they're going to find a way not only to deploy him in 11, which is where he's had the most success, but to finally maybe figure out this 12 personnel conundrum when they can get Kincaid and Knox on the field and maybe even a couple of different looks with Jackson Hawes, the rookie, on the field with either both of them or one of them in another 12 personnel package. They barely ran 13 last year with 3 tight ends and a back. I think that's something that, with the way that they run the ball, wouldn't that put a lot of pressure on teams when you have those 3 guys on the field? Now, I know Kincaid's blocking is an issue, but with those 3 guys on the field, it almost becomes like a 12 personnel package because you can use Kincaid in the role you drafted him to be,
right,
which is primarily a pass catcher.
Yeah, I almost wonder, and I think this got said by plenty of people who follow the team closely, Matt, that the Hawes pick could be an indication that they maybe won't use Alec Anderson as much. Like it's a sort of mix and match, and it's heavy, but it's not as heavy as having a 6th lineman out there. But it could, if it gets you, a team fearing the run, expecting the run, and you've got Kincaid as a part of it, maybe there's an edge there.
Yeah, definitely. I still think they want Alec Anderson in the mix, and I think he'll probably start the season. Rookie tight end, there's a lot on his plate. He's going to be in a lot of different meeting rooms. They're going to be asking him to learn a lot of things, but he's definitely going to be a piece of it. Here's the other thing that they're guarding against. They've had 2 seasons now where their offensive line has been intact for almost the entire season. and they haven't had to deal with any injury. And the problem is Alec Anderson is so good in that role. He's their number one interior offensive line backup. So if one of these guys goes down, is Cedric Van Pran-Granger ready for a larger role? Can Tylen Grable, who might actually be the left guard of the future, I know he's the swing tackle right now, but there's a lot of people that think that he can project as the replacement for David Edwards when he finally decides to either move on or retire. I think you like both of those options. The problem is Alec Anderson might be better than both. And so if you pull him out of the jumbo role, what are you going to do in that scenario? I think throwing that onto another offensive lineman that maybe hasn't had the kind of practice time. And the other part of this thing is Alec Anderson played all last season. He didn't have a single target. You know, I think that when Jackson Hawes is on the field in that kind of package, now you have a real problem with defending both the pass game and the run game. And I think Joe Brady can get a little creative with how he runs those things.
Matt, before you go, let's talk a little bit about the defense. I mean, so much of their draft capital and free agent signings were focused on the defense. I think anyone can understand why that was such a focus for them. Where do you think the biggest questions lie there? Is it at number 2 corner, obviously, the back end with Bishop needing to step up? Where do you see the potential, I don't want to say holes necessarily, but, areas of most concern, I guess?
Cornerback 2 is the greatest unknown, I think, because I think no matter what, my concern is pretty high at safety because of Taylor Rapp's, inability to stay healthy. If he goes down, what does that whole situation looks like? That's definitely a concern. But at cornerback 2, I know you have Benford over there, but we've seen in the past, like, if you're not having the kind of level play that you need at that second spot, it could be a problem. And I don't know if Hairston is going to be able to make the kind of run. I think he definitely can, but we've also seen in the past where, first-round draft picks haven't been able to secure that job. And they brought in Tre'Davious White and Dane Jackson for a reason. I mean, they do tend to lean back on that position on guys that they know that have played in the system. I mean, Josh Norman it felt like he was here till he was 45, even in practice squad roles, right? Because they know that he started in this defense before. You could throw him out there. Where's Tre'Davious White at? I've said this multiple times. I think that what we're going to see over the next month and a half is probably the best version left of Tre'Davious White. How good that player is at this stage, we'll learn it, we'll see it, and even if it's just average level, I still think that they might think that's safer bet to start the season than Maxwell Hairston. The thing that they have to have percolated in the back of their mind is how much did the way they approached Kyer Elam's rookie season with having them kind of split snaps and, all the different, like, dangling the carrot and all these different ways, how much did that play into his eventual outcome? I go back to Cody Ford years ago, one of their first drafts, and there was a lot of hype about him as a high second-round pick. And he comes in here, and I'll never forget, everybody's, they said he was a tackle, like, exclamation point. You get to camp, and we get through camp, and they're splitting time with him and Ty Nsekhe. And Ty Nsekhe was a fine player, but he definitely had seen better days. And it just felt like at that stage, especially, they needed to give the job to the kid and let him kind of figure things out on the fly. I always felt that Elam could have probably benefited from that as well. So when you get to the end of this, is Tre'Davious White playing at a high enough level where he's just definitively better than Hairston, or are you willing to just bet on the young player eventually figuring it out because of the potential upside, and the more reps that he gets from the jump, the better off you are? We'll watch that play out over the next couple of weeks, and I think they spent the draft pick on Hairston, specifically him, all of the traits, like he's a zone corner in college. He has this unbelievable speed. Like, he fits what they want to do, especially opposite of a borderline all-pro in Christian Benford. I think he's got to win this job, but I'm very concerned about cornerback 2, most so on the defense. We've probably have another segment on Bishop, but I just think corner is just a little more important.
Well, I wonder, real quick, I'll just squeeze this in. I wonder if Bishop and, him never having been a starter before plays into, like, would you want inexperience at corner 2 with Bishop inexperience too, or do you feel more comfortable with White there, even if he's, whatever percentage of his former all-pro self, just because there's more comfort and I'm not too young, Like, I wonder how much that'll play into it.
Right, and I also think that I don't think anybody would ever admit this, but there's also the element with Trey where there's the emotional side of it, right? This is a guy, the first ever draft pick, how it ended, having to release him, the emotions around that. They're never going to go with a guy that's not good enough to play. I'm not suggesting that, but if Hairston shows any kind of, problem signs, then it's kind of easy to just go back to one of these other guys that have started for you in the past. And to your point, I think there's a world where Cole Bishop comes out and is really good and puts to bed any concern or worry and takes a jump into year 2. I could definitely see that. But there's also, to your point, if the communication isn't there and him and Hairston are kind of both out there as kind of guys trying to figure it out, that's something that Bobby Babich, I think, Sean McDermott especially, probably won't have any patience for, especially knowing that in the front 7 or front 4, you're dealing with 2 guys, veterans, in Ogunjobi and Hoyt, that won't be there for the first 6 weeks.
Right. Matt, thanks a lot for the time. Appreciate it, as always. Enjoy the rest of the summer baseball and the beat and whatever, and I hope we get to catch up soon, man.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
That is Matt Parino, co-host of the Fantastic Shout podcast, also on the Bills beat for Syracuse.com. We'll hit a pause and reload the conversation we only had for the first segment about what lit the fuse for you as a sports fan. Now be a great time to call. We're wide open for the rest of the afternoon. So, have at it early and often. 803-0550 is the number. Who was the player at the flashpoint of your love of sports? Why do you listen to a show like this one? Can you share a story or two? We'd love to have it. Again, 803-0550 is the number. Mike is away today along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
Wimbledon has their singles finals matchups for this weekend. For the women, Amanda Anisimova will take on Iga Swiatek. That'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m., and the winner of that will walk away with their first Wimbledon title of their careers. While for the men, it is Jannik Sinner versus Carlos Alcaraz. That's going to be Sunday, also at 11 a.m. In the NFL, the Bears are locking up general manager Ryan Poles to a 5-year contract extension. Poles did have 2 more years left on that current deal, but now it's going to be tied to the Bears until at least 2029, while former Sabre Jeff Skinner is heading to San Jose on a 1-year, $3 million contract. And then in baseball, Cubs visit the Yankees for a 7:05 start time. The Mets take on the Royals. That's at 8:10. And then out west, a very late first pitch, Blue Jays taking on the Athletics. 10 o'clock is when that game will get going. While the Bisons, they are down in Scranton. First pitch just after 6:30, and that can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Step one in this, you talk about volume of routes. Yeah, Kincaid doesn't run the same amount of routes as other NFL tight ends. That's because the Bills are 28th in percentage of offensive plays that were passes last year. Josh Allen had 483 passing attempts last year, right? They're just not a high-volume passing offense. So, yeah, he's not going to have as many routes run. That's just logic. They were 5th in run rates. That's what the Bills do. They're a high-volume run team. They're not a high-volume pass. And so, yes, the volume of routes will be lower. However, Dalton Kincaid last year was the highest targeted tight end in the NFL per route run. When the Bills throw the ball, they want to throw it to Dalton Kincaid.
That is the mighty Joe Marino from our morning show earlier this week, talking about Dalton Kincaid and the opportunities and maybe lack thereof that may present themselves because of the way the Bills choose to play offense. It worked certainly to great success last year, 30 points a game, highest scoring offense in the history of the team. We'll see if they can put that back on the field again without someone sort of breaking through in the receiver group. Interesting. It sounds like Joe's pretty bullish on Kincaid there. Our last guest, Matt Parino, makes a good point about how important it is to a lot of people over there that Kincaid hit. That doesn't have to make it happen, but maybe they will try to feature him, and that could end up bearing fruit. We'll see where that all goes. Glad to have you with us here on a Friday afternoon here in the summer. Mike is off today. I am the Bulldog. And I don't know, I need to reset the whole thing here, but we had a chance to talk to Danny Gare last week on my birthday. Mike set up a bunch of people to come and join the show for my 60th birthday. It was very, very, very thoughtful of him, and I'm grateful that he did it. And Danny is my favorite all-time Sabre, and I've said that to him on the air. I said it that day, but while we were talking, it sort of struck me. It's the day of free agency in the NHL, and it's a pretty solemn, I guess solemn isn't even the right word, although maybe at this point it is. They're hardly mad anymore that they don't do anything, the Sabres. I mean, they did some stuff, but not the big move you were hoping was coming on the heels of the J.J. Peterka trade. And so we're talking to Danny, like, this is how they get you. Like, you fall in love with these players, and you're a fan for life, and like, wow, like, you know, there's my story on Danny, and like, he's that guy for me. I cried. I was 81. I'm 15 years old. He gets traded to Detroit. I cried. I was so upset. Like, Danny Gare, man, come on, this is my guy. So I thought, you know, Friday, summer, like, we're still ahead. We're in this, you know, this little pocket here where there's just not a lot of things. Like, we could always have a conversation about different Bills things like I just did with Matt Parino, but I thought it'd be really cool to hear from this audience about, you know, like, your Danny Gare, basically, like, where the fuse got lit for you with sports. You know, if it's Bills and Sabres, great. If it's not, also fine. I mean, Matt Parino's guy is Don Mattingly with the Yankees. Grew up in a baseball house and a Yankee house, and like, that's just how it worked for him. And so for me, like, the Sabres, like, I'm I'm 5 years old when they debut. By the time Danny's on the team and they're in the finals against the Flyers in 75, I'm 10. Wheelhouse City. This is perfect, right? So thought it'd be cool to spend some time today hearing your versions of that story. And so that's what we're doing. 803-0550 is the number if you'd like to get in. We'd love to have you. Plenty of room. And we're clear for the rest of the day, by the way, as we make our way through the afternoon. Tom is going to be first up this segment. Hi, Tom. Thank you for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Bulldog, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Time. Good. What got me into sports was back in the early 70s. Me and you are relatively the same age, a couple of years apart. I'm a little bit older. But between OJ, McAdoo, and Perrell, we had this... Yeah. We were the three best athletes in all of the three of the four main sports here. And it was amazing. And that's what got me into it. And the thing you're talking about with Danny Garrett, like, he was so awesome. And just the way he was a little guy, but my God, he fought everybody. And Clark Gillies is a big one for me.
Yeah.
But with that said, that's what got me going, Bulldog. And
yep.
God bless you, and love your show.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. Appreciate you listening all these years. And, yeah, man, that's the thing about Danny. Like, it's just such a different era. Like, Danny's a 50-goal scorer that would fight Clark Gillies and Dave Schultz. Like, guys that were – it's funny. Dave Schultz was at – there was a roast for Danny Garrett some years ago. I got to roast Dave Schultz. I mean, not really. I mean, we're there to roast, but I was like I wasn't one of the people on the dais, but I got to get up and say a few words. And like Dave Schultz, and like meeting him, because he was so much bigger than Danny, I expected him to be like a monster in person, and he's not that big. It's just that Danny was not a big guy. I meant to look today. I mean, I could go find it easy enough. I want to guess like 5'9" is maybe what he was listed at. And Schultz might only been like 6'1", 6'2". There weren't a lot of really big guys playing hockey. Like, when Lindros showed up in the 90s, that was kind of a, dare I say, like almost kind of a freak show to have a 6'4", 250-pound forward was not that common. I mean, Mario was a big man, but not in the way that Lindros was a wrecking ball. And growing up, there weren't that many guys that were that size that played hockey. But anyway, Danny was little, and he fought all his own battles and was just a beauty and scored like crazy. 50-goal scorer, just a wonderful player to watch and grow up rooting for. And so, but that era, the caller's right. I mean, this came up just the other day too. Like McAdoo, Perreault, OJ, like it's hard to beat. Like having that triumvirate in this town at the same time was really, really hot. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it very much. Scott is up next. Hi, Scott. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. How you doing today?
Great. I'm great. Thank you.
I love the question of what lit the fuse and whether there be a player or not. For me, it was kind of a player, but more so like a specific Bills game.
Uh-huh.
I'm too young for the Super Bowl era. So around like 8, 9 years old, like my first players I kind of really liked were like the later 90s, like Flutie, Molds.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still kind of getting warmed up to, being a sports fan. What really lit the fuse, though, was my dad bought us season tickets for me to really start diving in when we got Bledsoe. And it wasn't Bledsoe, but I remember with the off season we signed to Keo Spikes.
Mm-hmm.
He was really hyped up. And that opening day against New England, when we beat the crap out of them 31-0, Spikes absolutely went off. He had like 2 interceptions, sack. Lawyer Malloy's pumping up the entire crowd. Sam Adams with a pick 6. I'm like 12 or 13 at this time. And seeing that crowd, I'm like, wow, I'm hooked. I'm absolutely hooked to this whole scene, this environment. And the cherry on top was, I'll never forget tailgating that day. Some like guy in his 20s asked my dad to do a keg stand, and my dad's like, no, I'm good. And then he called him an old man, and then he got up and said, oh, no. And then he showed up the whole tailgate. And that was just a great day overall. And that team may not have amounted to much, but it really kind of pushed me hard in the direction to be the Bills fan that I am today, and a season ticket holder. So that was just real. And to this day, 5-1 is two of the numbers in the passcode in my phone because I love Tequila Spike so much.
That's awesome, Scott. That's a great story. I love so much the dad at the tailgate is tremendous. That is really, really good, man. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good they were. I mean, it helps if it's a good team. I've got Danny in 75 scoring a winning goal in game 1 of the semis against Montreal in overtime, and that is I can see the whole. I see the whole play. I've watched the replay of it enough times. I can see the whole play. The face-off and them going down the ice and Danny scoring the goal and sliding into the Zamboni doors with his arm up on his side. It's a great memory. And, that's a great team, and they're in the finals. I'm 10 years old, right? So they were that close to winning the Stanley Cup, and, of course, they still haven't. But it doesn't have to be that at all. So that day it's on the list, certainly, of top drought memory games. And, the drought was not that old yet, and even the Patriots' dominance over the Bills was pretty fresh. I mean, that's the opener in 2003 we're talking about, right? So we're only 4 years removed from Music City Miracle. And the Patriots were just ramping into like a decade of dominance, so we didn't really know it yet. By the time that season ended and they beat you back 31-0 on the last game of the season, you might have this isn't that great, and they're really good. But still, was a great day. Memorable big plays, of course, helped that a lot. So love it, Scott, and I love the phone passcode is still. You got spikes involved in that. That's awesome. Thanks for the call. Bill is next up. Hi, Bill. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Well, listening to this has been a lot of fun, and happy belated birthday. But, I'm older than all you guys. So, my first ticket was to the Bills, 64 and 65 Bills, when they won the championship. And I can remember my father used to work for Sports Service, which is Delaware North now. Mm-hmm. So we used to get chance to go to a lot of the games in the rock pile. And I can remember, I think it was the Jets, and Ron McDowell blocked the field goal. It was only from like their 10 or 15-yard line. And Jim Dunaway picked up the ball, who was a huge defensive lineman for those older people, and rumbled all the way down the field. I swear you could feel the whole stadium rocking, every foot that hit the ground as he ran all the way down. But I can name that entire team to this day. That was my thing, man. From Cookie Gilchrist to Tom Day and Sestak, and that was just a great, great team.
Bill, I love that you're out there. I know we don't always address those teams to maybe someone like you's liking, because we talk about not having a championship and they won back-to-back AFL titles and that. But I just love that you're out there taking this in, man. Really, it means a lot.
It's always a pleasure listening to you. Matter of fact, I used to listen to you when I worked with your sister, Patty. I mean, I'm talking 25 years ago.
Wow,
probably.
Yeah. Awesome. Bill, thanks a lot. It was really nice of you to call. Appreciate the story, and it's great to hear about the rock pile. We had my buddy John Gale from Canada had a friend in from Atlanta around my birthday. So after the 4th, Saturday, we got to spend the afternoon together and went to a few different places downtown. And there had been, just as it would happen, the way we were driving, we were in the first ward, and, anyone can ride down the Kensington, but I took them through the old East Side neighborhood where the old stadium that Bill's talking about going to used to be, and John had never been over there. And there's just a facade there, the one at the corner of Best and Jefferson. Still there, and that was such a cool little nugget to be able to show him and his friend from out of town, just a different part of the town that the football stadium used to be right here, which is still kind of incredible. I mean, I know it's pretty commonplace in that era to have had stadiums like that, but it's as close as we'd ever been to, like Mike and I have talked about watching the final game at Everton's legendary stadium that they played in for 130 years or something, and they're moving to a newer, modern place, and how it's just nestled in this neighborhood. I mean, drive by Jefferson and Best. That's what you got. It's a neighborhood, and there was a football stadium in the middle of it, which is just awesome. Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, the old stadium that the Colts and the Orioles used to share, was very much the same sort of thing. Thanks again for the call, Bill. I'm looking at the clock. I just clicked on Steve. Can I put Steve on hold? Do I know how to do that? I'm going to put Steve back on hold. I had no idea what time it was. Steve, we'll get to you here, I promise, right after the break. I'm the Bulldog. This is WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life.
The real ones know what's about to happen. I can't tell time. Steve, I will get to you after the top of the hour break. I'm so sorry. I did not know it got so late, and I don't have time other than to just say this stupid, meek, idiotic apology. We will be back after another timeout. I'm so sorry. It was so good that we just kept going. So I'm going to not do that now, and we'll reconvene here after the top of the hour update. I'm the Bulldog, still not able to tell time on WGR.
The men and women's finals for Wimbledon are set. They'll both be taking place this weekend. For the women, Amanda Anisimova will take on Iga Swiatek at 11 a.m. tomorrow. The winner of that match will walk away with their first Wimbledon title of their careers. While for the men, it's Jannik Sinner taking on Carlos Alcaraz. That'll be Sunday, also at 11 a.m. In the NFL, Bears are locking up general manager Ryan Poles a 5-year contract extension that will keep him with the Bears until at least 2029. Former Sabre Jeff Skinner has found his next home. He's going to San Jose, a 1-year deal worth $3 million this year. Blue Jays taking on the Athletics tonight at 10 o'clock. They're out west. Cubs visit Yankees. That game will get going just after 7. Mets against the Royals. That's just after 8 o'clock. And then the Bisons, they'll get going in just about an hour and a half at 6:30 down in Scranton. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I got a speeding ticket in the mail yesterday.
In the mail?
Yeah. I think I'm going to just ignore it.
It's Mike Schopp.
Where was this?
Spain.
And the Bulldog.
I think if I just lay low, I think I'll get away with it.
Not mention it on the air?
Definitely don't want to talk about it on the air.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I like the sound of this more and more as we go. I'm an outlaw.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Glad to have you with us on this sunny, hot Friday in July. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp has the day off. Zach Jones and G running the video feed at our side here, at my side, hanging out and having a good time, and a lot of reminiscing, given the subject matter today, which is what lit the fuse for you as a sports fan. I had the pleasure of having Mike set up Danny Gare to be on our show on my birthday last week, and at some point in that conversation or soon after, I thought, this is how they get you. See, I love Danny Gare, and I'm going to love the Sabres, even though they are, making us all some mix of bored and insane year over year here. It's still like I'm going to care until I'm dead because of Danny and his teammates and everybody else, of course, but he was my favorite. And so I knew I was going to have this show alone on a Friday here with Mike having the day off, and thought this would be a good time to sort of take this out for a drive. Before we get to Steve, finally, after 2 false starts, I want to ask Zach, because you quote tweeted my show tweet here about this subject with a photo of someone who I was not exactly sure of who it was. You couldn't really see the uniform and the angle of this man's head. At first I thought, is that Drew Brees? Does Zach love Drew Brees? I mean, I feel like that would have come up.
That would have been a curveball
at some point, but was that a picture of Colt McCoy?
It's 100% a picture of Colt McCoy.
The Colt McCoy picture.
I thought I'd be able to get a GIF of him at Texas, and I couldn't find a thing. And I'm like, I'm certainly not putting one where he's in Washington where you could see that. That's ridiculous. So I got one that still has the NFL pin on it, I guess. But I miss the Vince Young years. Whenever anyone's like, oh yeah, Texas won in 06 or the 05 season, I'm like, cool. I don't count it for my fandom. It's the same with the Angels in 02. I don't count it. So I jumped in after that. I'd been to Texas to see my family, got to see the stadium. That was really cool.
Yep.
And, now we've gotten to where we are. But Colt was that first guy for me. I mean, I grew up in a house where Jim Kelly was up there, and so he wore number 12, and that's my guy now. And it did a multitude of things for me. Colt's career at Texas, I got to experience winning, which is really cool to start. I also got to experience horrific heartbreak that will absolutely set you on a path that is not healthy with sports, but it's okay. We're all there. The 2008 season, they lose to the Mike Leach Texas Tech team, Michael Crabtree right at the end. 09, I'm still bitter about this. He gets hurt in the first quarter of the first drive, and they lose to Alabama, the Nick Saban Alabama teams before their rise. It was cool because as a Bills fan, at the time, it's still relatively early in the drought, but as a kid, there wasn't a player to grab onto yet. I eventually become a Stevie Johnson guy, and that's my favorite Bill of all time. But growing up, there wasn't that guy.
So Colt McCoy.
So Colt was my guy. I was crushed when we went in the third round to Cleveland. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He's awesome. I mean, now I'm like, yeah, he's got small hands and he hurt his shoulder. But like at the time, I was like, this is absurd. People are hating.
Have you ever met our old friend? He worked here a long, long time ago, Brad Ryder.
I've never met Brad. No.
I don't want to mischaracterize his feelings on the matter, but I feel like it would not surprise me if Brad was still telling people that he thinks Colt McCoy deserves another chance. That's how I remember it, Brad. If you're out there or if somebody tells you this and I'm wrong, I mean, accept 1,000 apologies, but I swear Brad had a thing for Colt McCoy. I hope I'm right about that. It rings a lot of bells.
Brad's an American hero for that take right there. Yeah, baby. For a school like Texas that has Earl Campbell and Ricky Williams, like the Colt years where they lose 2 games in his final year, he's leading the team in rushing. He's not particularly mobile.
No,
but he's got like a 65-yard touchdown.
That's kind of stunning,
A&M.
actually.
Oh my goodness! And then it hurts, but also kind of helps that like for the next 10 years they're dreadful, especially that position. So like I had such a fondness for Colt for so long, and he also introduced me to like winning and really getting into sports.
Yeah,
and that he very much was that introduction.
All right, and isn't he like across the board, off the field, like super awesome dude?
Oh
like,
yeah,
super team guy. Like I think
he's the perfect when coaches talk about like the team guy.
I feel like that's a lot of the Brad.
He was J.J. McCarthy.
He
was
right.
McCarthy during his time.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for that. But it took me a bit. Like I'm looking again. Oh, Texas. Yeah. Okay. Colt McCoy. All right. 803-0550. Zach's on the board. I'm sorry I made you wait 2 hours for that, but I just realized that I hadn't brought it up yet, and I noticed it when you had tweeted it a few hours ago. All right. 803-0550. What's your story? Steve is finally up next here on WGR. Steve, sorry about the false starts. 5 yards on me. You have the floor finally.
That's fine, sir. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yep. Happy belated birthday. I'm not much younger than you. But my guy was O.J. Simpson. My parents were in New Hampshire, and the Bills were on a lot back in the 70s. And I used to stand in front of the TV and have my finger follow OJ running all over the place. When during that 73 season when he broke the rushing record. That was just something that was always, and I'd always hear my dad yelling at me, "Get the heck out of the way, get the heck out of the way." Because I was just tall enough that he couldn't see the play going on. But yeah, OJ was that. And then fortunately, when we moved back to Buffalo, I ended up meeting OJ remember he was the sideline reporter for NBC, and I was walking around the stadium and he got out of the limo and I'm wearing his jersey, and I actually met the guy, doing all that stuff, and he actually signed a jersey and I still have it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
My hockey guy would be Parole, because I did the exact same thing with Parole. When I moved back to Buffalo and they were on TV, I would do the exact same thing when I was younger, watching them going up and down the ice. But yeah, those two guys probably got me into sports. And I live down here in Charlotte now, and I listen to you guys every day, just on the fact to get my information from you guys, and I appreciate what you guys do. And this Odyssey app is awesome. That's how I listen to you guys.
Good deal, man. Steve, I appreciate all that, and especially you being such a regular listener to us down in Charlotte. I always love hearing those stories. So thanks a lot for the call, man.
And Bulldog, get them straight.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yep.
I'm playing golf for three days with my kid and my dad. In Cross Creek. I'm sure a lot of people in Buffalo know what that is, and I'll be there for, my fifth or sixth year with my dad and my son.
That is so great to be able to do that with your son and your dad. My dad never played. He's still kicking, going to be 92 in September, but I don't know that he ever picked up a club. But since I started playing a lot now in the last few years, a big part of it is because our oldest son is playing too. So I know that's got to mean a lot to you.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, my dad's 81. He doesn't hit the ball as far anymore, but just the three of us, and it's an awesome time. And, yeah, I'll be up in the Buffalo area. I can't wait to see what the stadium looks like.
Dude, yeah, it is incredible to drive past there. The construction, Steve, thanks for the call. The construction's been going on, of course, now for years, but I was just out on the 4th of July. We spent the 4th of July evening and spent the night at some friends of ours who live out in Boston Hills, Colden area. And so driving back on the 219 even, I can't remember like around what exit it is, but there's one spot where you're up kind of high and heading downhill, and you can just see, you've always been able to see like the light towers on the old stadium, and then those structures that they built, the four of them on each corner of the stadium. You kind of see those from different high points around Western New York. The new stadium looks like an alien spaceship floating on the horizon as you are coming again from south, like heading in on the 219 from out, heading back into the city. I was like, look at that thing. That's incredible. Really going to be awesome. Thanks a lot for the call again. Really, really appreciate it. Mike is next. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, how you doing? Love this topic.
Thank you.
When I went from being sort of a casual hockey fan to a diehard Sabres fan, it's honestly one of my favorite stories to tell anyone who will listen. So, around the time of the Ottawa series, we had a death in the family, and my wife's uncle set up his house with like 3 different large TVs, and every night we were getting together watching playoff hockey while everyone was in town for the, for the funeral, and they all stayed for a while. And then, obviously then, my daughter was about 2 years old at the time, and then you had the Pominville goal.
Right.
And, ever since then, we've all been dialed in. My daughter, most of all, 7 years later, he got traded. She was a much older child. She cried herself to sleep that night. When he came back, he did his first autograph session at a local card shop. We got our tickets as soon as they were available. We're all big Sabres fans, but a lot of it has run through him. Anytime he's making an appearance, like when he went to the Americans Hall of Fame, like we made a little road trip out of that.
Awesome.
And it's super cool for me because it's like my now 20-year-old daughter. Every now and then, like you wait in line to get an autograph. It's like having a little kid again.
Yeah.
The coolest piece of decor in our house is actually side-by-side pictures of Pominville with my kids at Dave and Adams back in 2017, and then at Blue Cross Arena when he went into the Emirates Hall of Fame. And my kids are however many years older, 8 years older now. You know what I mean? They were like 10 and 6, and now they're 18 and 14. You know what I mean? And it's just ever since then, me and my wife and her cousins, like we get together, we go to Sabres games, and if we can't go to a game, someone will have a party at their house, if there's a Friday night game against the Leafs or the Rangers or whatever. And before that, it was all very casual, but just something about that moment, just like, this is what I'm going to do for the next 20 years. I'm going to drive myself crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome. Your kids have a way of drawing you into things that you never saw coming. To some extent. Not that you didn't see it coming, but to escalate it and elevate it. Like I just told the last guy talking about golf, I would not have 5 years ago. I would not have told you I would play golf 20 times a year, let alone 60. But that's where I'm at now, because a lot of it is with my oldest son, who's gotten really, pretty good really fast, and we really enjoy the time together. So like that relit that fuse for me, and it sounds like your daughter and your relationship with the Sabres has gone through something similar. So I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, Mike. Appreciate you calling very much. Glad to hear from you. One more this segment. We got lots of time. Look, I'm looking at the clock, and I got tons of time. 803-0550. Let me say the number again, because Sean's the last guy I got on hold here. So we get to fill him up here, people. Sean, you're on. How you doing?
My man, Bulldog, happy belated. I'm glad you're doing well.
I'm getting all these belated. I should have mentioned that it was my birthday, because I wasn't fishing for belated birth. I mean, it's 10 days ago already, for crying out. I appreciate the sentiment, but anyway.
That's okay. Long-time listener, man. I love your guys' show. My guy that lit the fuse for me, one of the most humble athletes, and I can't believe he actually played backup to Thurman Thomas, but I am a diehard. It got me everything. It gives me goosebumps talking about it right now. Barry Sanders is my favorite athlete of all time, and it's not even a close second in my opinion. Just him only in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The humbleness that he played with, the give the ball to the ref when you walk in the end zone, those are all the values my dad tried to teach me when I was growing up playing sports. Don't show up the other team. Don't show up the referees. Go out there, do your job. He's the guy that lit the fuse for me. I wish people that were a lot younger than me could see his highlights and stuff like that, because he was one to behold.
He is one guy that I've shown I have two sons. One is sports crazed. The other one could not possibly care any less. So Owen, who's now working here, I've shown him all Bill's like vintage highlights and the comeback game and all the stuff, sort of laying groundwork for him. But Barry Sanders is one player who, like, if a reel of his runs comes through my social media feed and he's in the room, I'll go like, here, watch this. Just watch this dude, right? And there's only a handful of guys on other teams that I have done that with for him, but Sanders is at the top of the list. I mean, he's very, very, I think just unlike maybe any other running back.
I agree. I just think his humbleness and the way he was brought up, I mean, I wish it would be a model for every football fan to follow, everybody that's starting to play sports from a young age. So that was all I had, Bulldog.
All right.
I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too, Sean. Have yourself a good weekend. 803-0550 again is the number. Pete heard my cry for help and answered. Pete, you're up next here on WGR. Thanks for calling.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm good. So I've lived in Buffalo my whole life. Born in 73. Was a big, huge Phil Housley fan. And me and my brother used to ride our bikes to Saberland over on the Boulevard, which is now, I think, called the Hockey Outlet or whatever.
Yep.
And back then, that was pretty neat. You could go there and watch open practice. You get, the guy would break a stick or something. You'd end up leaving with a couple of pucks and some sticks. And it just really solidified our hockey love for the Sabres. So they had a little pro shop in there. You could order jerseys or whatever. So I don't know if you remember this, but when the Sabres picked up Rick Vive.
Okay. Well, I remember Rick Vive, sure. Yep.
Yeah. So he came to the Sabres and he got number 12. And at the time, Lindy Ruff was still on the Sabres, so he had 22.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened. I don't know if Lindy left or whatever, but a month. So I got Rick Vive's jersey, and a month after I bought this jersey, Lindy left, and Rick Vive switched to back to number 22. So Paul McGuire was on Adelphia Cable, and he had this show where you could call in.
Sure, the Budweiser hotline.
Yeah, me and my little brother called in when Rick Vive was on there, and we actually complained to Rick Vive, hey, I just went out and bought this jersey, spent all this money to get number 12, and then you go change your number. And Paul McGuire was laughing, and he's like, well, someday when he's in the Hall of Fame, that jersey will be worth a lot of money. So, as he went to commercial, he's like, remember, save the jersey. So it was kind of a funny memory. That is a story that we've always told.
That's awesome.
But
Did you save it? Do you still have this number 12 Rick Vive?
I still do.
That's awesome.
I have it. I have that and my Phil Housley, and I have a Pierre Turgeon from it's that one's actually like an all-star one. But yeah, we kept them all.
That's
They're all
fantastic.
hanging in the closet.
I did not remember that. When you started saying number 12, I'm like, wait a minute, Vive was 22 everywhere I've ever seen him. I never saw him in a different number, Chicago, Toronto, whatever, 22. But of course, Lindy. Well, what happened to Lindy is just like all Sabres captains, he got traded. Is what happened, Pete.
Yeah,
that's
I guess I just got too excited and bought the jersey too soon. I should have waited a couple more weeks.
Right. All right,
Yeah.
Love it, man. Thank you for the call. That, the story about riding your bike to go watch practice is so cool. The open practice was always such a cool thing. Like we went to 3-4 games, maybe a year. I don't even be pushing it. Like they used to have a thing on the back of the milk carton for like 2-for-1 tickets or something, or some special price. I don't know. Like we would do that. Occasionally, my dad sold insurance in South Buffalo, and he'd come home occasionally with tickets. Sort of all of a sudden, like a client or whatever, somebody on his rounds that day had a pair of tickets, and like, oh wow, we got tickets. But it was very rare. But the open practice was, I can remember queuing up, waiting in line for the building to open on a more like the Christmas holiday week while the kids are out of school, and just what a cool thing that was. Just having access is such a vital thing. I mean, it's changed so much. You still, there's a process now, and it's more of a controlled environment for a variety of reasons, largely because of the big business that all of it is, including getting the autograph. So I understand why it is the way it is now, but man, it was just such a cool thing to be able to just, wander into a local 2-pad ice rink and the Sabres are practicing, and you're just going to hang out as a 12, 13-year-old kid, watch the Sabres practice. That is very, very, very cool. I mean, you can do that at Harbor Center when they're on the ice there. I don't know about accessing the actual arena when they're practicing in KeyBank Center, but still, I just think that's it's such an important facet of it for people who just don't have the opportunity to get to a lot of games for whatever reason, whether it's their parents' work schedules or the cost of the tickets or whatever it is. To have these like free points of access is still important, even I think in this day and age. So I love hearing that you would ride your bike. And I think it is right now still called Hockey Outlet. Since Owen stopped playing a few years, locally anyway, a few years ago, and then ultimately stopped playing, I haven't been out there, but I'm guessing that's what it's still called now. But I just love the thought of riding down there and getting a broken wooden stick from a player and riding home on your bike with a shattered coho or something. It's just a very, very cool imagery. Thanks again for the call. 803-0550 is the phone number. We'll keep them going here. You want to get in, share a story with us about what lit the fuse for you to become the sports fan you are today. Would love to hear it here. Again, 803-0550 is the number. Mike is away today. I am the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
We've been living in are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Wimbledon has their finals, and they'll both be this weekend. For the women, Amanda Anisimova will take on Iga Swiatek tomorrow at 11 a.m. And for either woman, whoever wins will have their first Wimbledon title of their careers. While for the men, it's Jannik Sinner taking on Carlos Alcaraz. That'll be Sunday, also at 11 a.m. In the NFL, the Bears locked up GM Ryan Poles, a 5-year contract extension that is going to keep him at least under contract with the Bears until at least 2029. He did have 2 more years left on his current deal. while former Sabre Jeff Skinner has found his newest home in San Jose on a one-year deal worth $3 million. And then in baseball, Blue Jays out west tonight, very late start, 10 p.m. against the Athletics. Cubs visit the Yankees, that's at 7:05. The Mets take on the Royals, that's at 8:10. While the Bisons, they'll get going in just about an hour down in Scranton. First pitch just after 6:30, and you can hear that game over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Look, it doesn't take a lot to reverse this, but I just want to let everyone know that I did finally now close the St. Louis Blues stats sheet from last season on my browser. Just wanted to share that with the audience. I feel
it's
like
live character growth, right there.
It was an important moment, and if any, I'm appreciating all these stories. But if you want to share any other stories in that vein, feel free about your own personal growth and how you have overcome situations of great adversity in your life, like pining over players you don't even really like on teams that you barely watch. Good talk. 803-0550 is the number. I am the Bulldog. Mike is away today. Let us continue with the phone calls on what got you into this racket in the first place. Pat is next up. Hi, Pat. Thanks for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. Big, long-time listener, listening to the show.
Thank you.
All the commentary and stuff. You guys do a great job. Anyways, I grew up in the 70s. My father got me started. He was a high school athlete. Could have played college football. Never materialized. But he was good for I believe it was Hutch Tech at the time.
All right.
Anyways, he got me started in sports and got me started on the Sabres. My favorite player was Rick Martin. I used to emulate him in my backyard. He had a great wrist shot, great snap shot, great slap shot. It just intrigued me to follow him, and I used to imitate him in my yard all the time, trying to be him.
Yep.
My other guy in football would have been O.J. Simpson. My father had season tickets in '73, so we all got to watch O.J. run for 2,003 yards. I could remember almost every move he made on the field in certain games, especially the New England game where he ran for 250 yards, and just was enamored with them. And obviously, I used to buy all their jerseys. I'm still a lifelong Sabre fan. I was a season ticket holder for 20 years. It's hard to continue to be a Sabre fan, but I'm hanging in there with them.
We all are, Pat. We all are.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if I could afford the Bills, I would be a season ticket holder for the Bills. Things were a lot cheaper back in '73 for my father to get to the games and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I
No
mean?
doubt. Yeah,
But,
for sure.
Yeah, a lot of times I watch the Bills, I think of my father and stuff. And strangely enough, Bulldog, he died of a massive heart attack after watching a Bills game.
Oh, come on, Pat.
Yes. He called me up. He used to call me up after games,
Yeah.
that he was watching, and we would go over what the hell went wrong, but and also whatever went right. But he ended up passing away to a heart attack after the game. I'll never forget that either, as I had to go and
Sure, yeah.
figure it all out after.
Pat, thank you for sharing. Appreciate the call very much. Appreciate you listening all these years, too. And best to you and your family. Jeff is up next. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Bulldog. Yeah, I wasn't calling. I'm driving. I'm listening to your show, and it helped me remember how much fun I have being a sports fan. And
Good.
And I was a unicorn. I was a unicorn in my family. Like, nobody played sports, liked sports, or watched sports. But I remember I was 7 years old, and the Bills were playing Kansas City to see who was in the first Super Bowl. And I'm at my uncle's, and on a counter is a radio playing the game, and I'm sitting there fidgeting as I hear the game slipping away from us. And then the second memory you pulled back on me was when I heard the fellow talk about Gilles Perreault. I remember when we won the wheel spin to get him as the first draft pick, and I can still see him wheeling around the net with the puck, hitting almost full stride by the time he's like 3 strides in, he's at full speed, and he could handle the puck, and nobody could stay with him, and that was exciting. And then my final, most aggravating memory that was brought up by the guy who talked about riding the bike. A buddy of mine and I rode our bikes to the Main Place Mall because that's where they were staging the NFL draft. And we're both sitting on the ground in the mall on the dirty floor, and the Bills are coming up, and I desperately want them to draft Chris Collinsworth. And I'm like, Collinsworth. And then you hear the Bills pick Terry Miller. And I'm like, it's the fastest guy sideline to sideline I've ever seen in the Bills uniform. So those are the 3 quick ones for you.
Those are great memories. Really appreciate that very much, Jeff. You just tripped a wire for me. I had the opportunity when I don't even know what it's called now. Is it still the Northtown Center? The ice rink complex out here in Amherst near UB. I'm pointing out the window like people can see, by the way, because I'm that age now. When they were grand opening, like the main rink there, they had a game between the Sabres alumni and the Media All-Stars, which still exists to this day. Jim Fink, Business First, have been organizing the Media All-Stars for decades now, and they played the WGR team in the 11-day power play a couple weeks ago. That was my entree into the Media All-Stars. I was still only a couple of years in on the radio on WBEN in those days, and Jim reached out to me and invited me to come take part in these skates, and I hadn't played hockey in quite a while, at least with any regularity. But they got me into like these weekend skates. Ended up turning into a year-round thing. It's how I met Mike Lesikowski, one of the founders of the 11-Day Power Play, and a lot of other great folks who I've met over the years through that group. But the initial reason I started skating with them on weekends was to try to get ready to play in this game against the Sabre alumni, and that there they all were. Like the French Connection is there, Danny's there, Larry Playfair, Howard Saperstein was their goaltender, who ended up, I got to know years later as he was the public address announcer at Nichols home hockey games. So when my son was playing for Nichols, there was Howard, but he was like the stand-in goalie. I guess they couldn't find, I don't know, Bob Sauvé. So, we're there, we're playing, and I mean, it's just the thrill of a lifetime. And I'm a defenseman, and I'm here comes Gilbert, right, up the middle of the ice, and I'm backing in, like I'm at my blue line, and he's right in front of me, and you can see it, right, hit with the mouth open, and just the quintessence, even at that age, like long retired, Gilbert Perreault. Not like he needed his best stuff to get around radios, the Bulldog, let me tell you. But I just remember having this moment where I'm staring at him in this posture, in this pose, this action that I'd seen him do hundreds, if not thousands of times on TV and in person. And I'm on the ice. Like, I'm on the other end of him. He's bobbing his head, deking, and I'm just like, you're Gilles Perreault. Just go ahead. I'm not going to poke check you. If I did, I would fall, probably. What a joy it was to watch that guy play hockey. Man, oh, man. Dave is up next. Hi, Dave. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I became a sports fan when I was 6 years old growing up in Vancouver. It was 1994, and I didn't know why, but I was just like weeping at losing Game 7 to the New York Rangers. And I had not really followed the Canucks that year, but for some reason, maybe it was like everyone around me was so upset. I was like hooked. And from that point, it must have been like trauma bonding, just became such a huge Canucks fan. I wasn't able to watch the games on TV growing up, but every morning would clip the stats out of the newspaper, just like you in that St. Louis Blues stat chart. Like, I had them taped to my wall as a kid, and they must have been up there all season, and then we'd take them off, and it was a Pavel Bure era. Like, there was a lot to be excited about.
No doubt. It's so wild that your point of entry was pain.
Oh, it's amazing now because it's come full circle. My son is 6 years old, and we live here now in Niagara. and we have Bills season tickets, and we in the family section, and so it's like experiencing the playoffs with him. It's just a whole different world. Him not quite understanding, like, oh no, the season's over. Like, we're done now. And he hates the Chiefs. He loves the Bills, and it's just like, okay, this is so cool to go through it again with him.
That is so great, Dave. Thanks so much for sharing, man. Appreciate it very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right. 803-0550. We'll have time for a couple of more here, but I'm going to take a break on time. For Dak, I'm sorry to set things on fire, but I'm actually going to call timeout at the right time here. Like I'm like a football coach that doesn't know how to use the timeouts. Back for more right after this on WGR. Rolling along here on a Friday. Let's get right back to it here. Mike is up next. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, man.
One of my childhood memories, very first Bills game was at the Buffalo War Memorial Stadium, also known as the Rock Pile. O.J. Simpson's first year, they played the Boston Patriots and got beat, but I just remember how cool it was to be there. The Bills had a running back by the name of Bill Enyard at the time, and I don't know if you remember his nickname.
I do not.
His nickname was Earthquake, Bill Earthquake Enyard, and I'm not sure if it was from how he ran the ball or his size or what it was, but I just remember it was really neat being there. I'm glad they finally got out of that place. I know you and Mike were talking a few weeks back about a Bills-Chiefs Monday night game where Bob Chandler scored an extra point, something like that. I don't remember that. I was at that game.
Yeah, I didn't remember. That was Mike was looking at the box of that game, and I did not remember that. It was a Monday night game against the Chiefs in the 2003-yard season, and OJ was the 7th game of the year, and he went over 1,000 halfway through the year, a 14-game season. Yeah. That's the thing I remember about the game, and it being Monday Night Football. I did not know the details about whatever else happened there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, but it was pretty cool being there. It was it was a sparse crowd, man. We were in and out of there like nothing. You couldn't do that today. And just last thing about the Sabres, you know, in the time they've been in the franchise in Buffalo and the NHL, you know, a lot of teams have moved. I'm surprised and grateful, really, that hasn't happened with the Sabres. I hope it never does because it just wouldn't be the same without them, but this has got to end.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Me too. I echo that. I try not to even think too much about it. So I'm going to leave that there. Thank you for the call and all the calls. Really great. We're going to hit a timeout here and load up a conversation with our buddy Sam Panayovich. That is right after this. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.